Welcome to Cafe Thursday, where we are going to make this Instant Pot spaghetti in less than 10 minutes. So let's start. Here are our ingredients. You are going to use a half of teaspoon of black pepper, a half teaspoon of chili pepper flakes, and all the rest that you see listed here, we are going to use 1 tablespoon in this mixture. Now let's get started with my second favorite appliance in the world, Instant Pot. Now this lets you make spaghetti with prep less than 10 minutes. So what we're gonna do is we're going to first set it to saute because we want it to get nice and hot so that when we add in our ingredients, which we have here and we will list, you can make your pasta without the heat, without the mess, all in this one pot in just 8 minutes in the pot and a couple minutes to prep. So we're gonna let that get hot. I'm feeling to make sure it's getting hot. And once it does get hot, we are going to put in 1 pound of very lean ground beef. And we are also gonna put in our olive oil, spices, onions, and garlic. And we've got everything in order that you're going to add it into the pot so that you don't make mistakes, because there is a method to the madness, okay? So they do all have to be in order. So let's get started because we know it says hot, so our saute is ready because this pot sautés, it pressure cooks, it makes a million things. So let's start with that 1 pound of very lean ground beef. And we're gonna break that up a little bit. Then we're gonna hit it with a little bit of olive oil because you'll see it to start to almost stick to the bottom of the pot, and you don't want that to stick. You want all that nice little cooked goodness to stay in the flavor of the spaghetti. So we're gonna add that olive oil and we're gonna continue to mix it. And we're gonna add in our spices to make sure they get evenly coated all over that meat. And we're gonna cook that down. I love cooking first, or mixing I should say first, the spices to really get into that meat and coat it really, really well. And let that nice flavor of a really good olive oil. I could not stress how important olive oil is. It is a flavor unit to the pasta. And I know some people don't really pay attention to the type of olive oil that they're using. We all have our preferences. So if you find one that you really love the taste of, I mean, if you can eat olive oil on a salad or with a nice piece of bread or on a fresh tomato, you know you have the right olive oil because it just adds just a little flavoring to that meat along with these great seasonings. And you want to make sure that you get all the meat evenly coated, and we want to make sure we add in 1 diced small red onion. So we're going to put that in there so that can start cooking down because you want your onions to get nice and soft right along with the meat. We also have set aside, which we're going to add later, 2 teaspoons of fresh minced garlic. But you always want to let that meat cook brown. You want the onions to soften, which usually only takes a couple of minutes, which is why I say you can really cook this under 10 minutes. So we're gonna let this cook on saute for about a minute or so. And now we come back to it and you see it's nice and brown. So now that it's browned almost completely, we're gonna add in that garlic. That way the garlic doesn't burn, because the worst thing and the worst flavor profile you want on a great flavored ground beef is burnt garlic. So we're gonna mix in that garlic really, really well and just add that to that layers and layers and layers of flavor. So remember, we've got a nice lean ground beef, so you see there is like no fat and grease. You've got a great olive oil and seasonings. So now that we have that going, we are going to pour in, here we go. We see that it's ground. We turned it off, by the way, that's what that was. We sauteed and we turned off the saute. Now we're gonna add in a half of a cup of water, and that's just gonna help us to make the meat nice and moist so it won't dry out. and to also scrape off all the bottom. It should be nice and clear. So if you see when I'm pushing with the spoon, I know it's hard to see through the steam because this saute had gotten the pot so hot. That's why we want to make sure we turn it off before we add in the water. Well, you look and you see the bottom's clear. You know it's ready to go to the very next step, which is going to be your sauce. So you're going to add in about 24 ounces of tomato sauce. Your favorite, depends on you. I doctor mine up a little. I like mine to have a little Italian seasoning in it. We're gonna pour that in, and you wanna just mix that with that water and with the meat so it's nice and mixed and combined. And the reason we're combining it so well is when we lay the pasta in here, you do not wanna touch it. Meaning you will not combine it, you're gonna let it pressure cook, so it needs that moisture at the bottom to be able to cook the pasta that we're gonna go on top. So now we see it's nice and combined. We're gonna take one bag, about 10 ounces of dried spaghetti. We're going to break them in half. You need them in half, not whole, because what we wanna do is we wanna spread them out. And you wanna make sure that you're spreading them apart, that you're not putting them up in big bulks, because if you put them in big bunches, they tend to cook in a big bunch. And we want it to be palatable, meaning it should be just like when you eat spaghetti. It should be easily mixed once it's cooked for the 8 minutes. So you wanna make sure you spread those all out. And then you're going to add 1.5 cups on top of water. So now that we have our pasta on there, we are not gonna combine, you're not gonna mix anything. Your spaghetti's in, you're gonna take 1.5 cups of water, and you're just gonna pour that over the top of the spaghetti. Now we're ready to close this up. We have everything in there mixed, ready, and we're gonna seal it. Make sure it's closed, you'll hear the little sound. And up here is your spout to seal or to release. You wanna make sure it is up on seal and not release. So now we're gonna set our Instant Pot to pressure cook. When you pressure cook, it's gonna tell you 9 minutes because it takes a minute or so for that pressure to build up and for it to actually go on. So there is the on, we're gonna let that cook for 8 minutes. At 8 minutes, it's gonna go automatically to warm, so you wanna make sure you've turned off the warm. You wanna make sure you've pushed that if it hasn't already popped to release, and that your button is completely down, done, and the pressure is off so that you can lift it. And look at that steam, woo! I wish we had smell-o-vision for this one. Oh man, perfect. So now you just need to combine it because again, you cooked the meat and the sauce all at the bottom, and the pasta has cooked with that 1.5 cups of water on top. So you just wanna combine it really, really well, mix it up, stir it up, take some tongs, take a spoon in there, get that mixture all over so that you have very well combined pasta and sauce. And that is why I said it's so important to spread out that pasta and make sure that it doesn't come into clumps so that you get that perfectly blended pasta that you see right here. So now we're ready to plate, and here we have it. So again, thanks for tuning in to Cafe Thursday. Remember to hit subscribe, hit notifications, always give this and other videos that we do a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to patron. All information will be underneath the videos, and we will see you on the very next Cafe Thursday. And remember, we did all of this in less than 10 minutes, and the entire pot of pasta only costs $3 to make. That's amazing, and that's what living in the DR is all about. See you on the next Thursday.